Welcome to the Daily Tanya, and today we're finally catching up to the Tanya of today. We're going to learn at the Tanya of yesterday, Sunday the 10th of Sivan, and Monday the 11th of Sivan. Let's begin with Tzedakah. Gedola, Tzedakah, Shemekarebes, Geula, Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. And we're starting chapter 3 in the Shar, Hayichud, והאמונה, gateway of unity and faith. And in this chapter, the Alter Rebbe really begins to bring it home. What the Alter Rebbe teaches in this part of the Tanya, starting with explaining the verse that it says, "V'yadata hayom," you should know today, "V'hashevoisa el levavecha," you should take it to heart, "Ki Hashem hu Elokim," that God is God, "V'shamayim imal," in the heaven above and the earth below. And he explained what it means. It's not to tell us that there is no other God, but really to tell us that there is nothing else, that everything that exists comes from Hashem. Hashem makes everything existing constantly. There's a constant recreation of this world. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. And this is really something that as we grow older, we can understand it better. We learn it. This is something that we constantly have to think about it on a daily basis. And I mean, just like anything in life, the understanding of what you're doing, as you grow older, you get a bit better understanding. Why do you brush your teeth as a child? Because you're going to get rewarded. Grow older, you understand better why you have to brush the teeth. Anything in the morals that you have, why do you have to act morally? So the deeper the understanding is, the better you have an appreciation of what you're doing. And the same thing is with the understanding of what is Hashem and what is the world and what are we. And that is what is focusing on this chapter. What are we? Are we really existing? And the truth is that in the eyes of Hashem, we are like nothing, non-existent. Hashem makes it, we are only existing because Hashem constantly makes us exist. In other words, this world is completely nullified within Hashem's presence. And it's not like some Eastern philosophies that say that we are an illusion. No, we are real because Hashem made us real. And except that we don't have our own existence. I mean, think, to use an analogy, think of a projector. If you have a projector that projects a scene, a movie on the wall, and you see a whole world, you see a whole reality, and you can get lost in that reality, and it seems so real. But as soon as the projector shuts off, there's nothing there. Nothing was there. So was there an image on the wall? Of course there was an image on the wall. It wasn't just an illusion, but it wasn't the real thing. It was just because it was projecting on the wall. So the reality is something that Hashem makes this reality. It constantly makes this reality for us to experience that reality. It makes us to experience that reality. So let's see inside what the Alter Rebbe says in chapter 3, Shar, Hayichud, והאמונה. Says the Alter Rebbe, והנה, אחרי הדבורים והאמס האלה. Now, following these words of truth concerning the nature of creation, namely, that the activating force must continually be vested in created beings, and create them ex nihilo, something from nothing. So after understanding these words, so kol maskil al davar yovin le'eshure, ech shekol nivra veyesh ube'emes nechshav le'ayin ve'efes mamash. So every discerning person will understand clearly that every creature and being, even though it appears to have an existence of its own, is in reality considered to be absolute naught and nothingness. Is not a nothingness, not that it is really nothing, well, it's really nothing in relation to the activating force. Legabe koyach apoyel veruach piv shebenifol amehava oisoi tomid umeitzioi me'ayin mamesh leyesh. In relation to the activating force which creates it, and the breath of his mouth which is within it, continuously calling it into existence and bringing it from absolute nothing, non-being, into being. So another metaphor that I heard was when let's say you look out the window and you see rocks flying. So you don't say that you just saw a flying rock. You saw a rock flying, but you didn't see a flying rock. Rocks don't fly, birds fly. So when you see the rock flying, you know that there is a person somewhere that threw that rock. So this is something that the flying in the rock is something that it was put in there, put in the rock by the person that made it fly. He gave it this energy, he pushed it, he threw it. Now, so since this function must be continuous, it follows that a creature's activating force is the true reality of its existence. What is the true reality of any existence? Is the activating force by Hashem. The belief itself bears no comparison to the activating force which is wholly responsible of its existence. But what do we see? When we look at an object, we look at a table, we look at the chair, we don't see the activating force. We just see a physical object. It is because we cannot see, we don't have the eyes to see it. If you take something under a microscope, you see things that you don't see with the naked eye. We don't see, we're not capable of seeing those things. We don't have the tools to see it. So we see a physical object. But what is the existence of that object? It is the godly animating force that makes it happen, makes it existing. The reason that all things created and activated appear to us as existing, meaning it appears to us as self-subsisting and tangible, and we fail to see the divine activating source, which is the true reality of any created being. It says, oh, this is because we don't have the tools. This is that we do not comprehend nor see with our physical eyes the power of God and the breath of his mouth, which is in the created thing, as we explained in the chapter 1. There is the godly energy through the letters. It is the energy this is the activating force, the thing that brings it to life. Avol ilu nitna reshus la'ayin lirois ula'asig es achayis veruchnis shebekol nivra. If, however, the eye were permitted to see and to comprehend the life force and spirituality which is in every created thing, flowing into it from that which proceeds from the mouth of God and his breath, then the physical materiality and tangibility of the creature would not be seen by our eyes at all. Why not? Because it would be that physical existence would be nullified into the spiritual source that it has. For it, the physicality is completely nullified in relation to the life force and the spirituality which is within it. So if the Seba, the Alter Rebbe, right before he passed away, he was turning to his grandson, and he looked on the ceiling, and saw the beams on the ceiling, and he asked his grandson, "What do you see?" He told him, "I see the beam." And the Alter Rebbe told him, "I don't see the beam. I see the godly force that animates that beam." So he reached that level of being able to see things in the spirituality of it. So you don't see the physical. Since without the spirituality within it, it would be not an absolute nothingness, exactly as before the 6 days of creation, at which time the creatures were utterly non-existent. Not only the creatures were non-existent, the time was also not existing then. So without the energy of Hashem, it wouldn't be existing at all. Now, והרוחניס השאיפיה עולמים ביצפי השם ברוח פיו, הוא לבד הימציאו תמיד מאפס ועין ליש ומעבר ישראל. The spirituality that flows into it from that which proceeds from the mouth of God and his breath, that alone continuously brings it from not and nullity into being. And this spirituality gives it an existence. And therefore, what is the conclusion? If everything would exist is only because Hashem constantly makes it existing, that means that the true reality does not exist except for Hashem. Imkein efes bil odoi be'emes, hence there is truly nothing besides him. In any created being, apart from the divinity, the only true reality that brings it into existence. The created being does not constitute a true reality, inasmuch as it is wholly dependent for its existence on the continuous flow of divine life force. Indeed, its existence verily consists of that activating force. So we continue now to today's lesson, the 11th day of Sivan. And Alter Rebbe here brings an analogy from the sunlight within the sun itself. In other words, the sun is obviously so far away, 90 some million miles away from the earth. And we see the sunlight right here. If the sunlight is here, then certainly the sunlight is in the sun itself. It comes from the sun. And it's there in a much stronger way than it is here, obviously. But nevertheless, within the sun itself, the light the light of the sun doesn't exist as a light. It is part of the sun itself. So the same thing what the Alter Rebbe is saying is that we here seem like sunlight, but within the source, which is Hashem, we do not exist as a separate entity. That's what Alter Rebbe continues here. An illustration of this is the light of the sun, which illumines the earth and its inhabitants. Shuziv ve'oira mispashet meguf hashemesh v'nira le'eini koil meir ala oretz b'chalal oilam. This illumination is the radiance of and the light which spreads forth from the body of the sun and is visible to all as it gives light to the earth and the expanse of the universe. Now this light, certainly within the globe of the sun, within the sun globe, that light doesn't exist there. It is nullified. At the same time, if it's here, it's certainly there also. It comes from there, but does not exist as a separate entity. That's what Alter Rebbe continues here. והנה זה פשוט, שאוי וזיו הזה ישנו גם כן בגוף וחומר כדור השמש עצמו שבשמיים. Now it is obvious that this light and radiance is also present in the very body and matter of the sun globe itself in the sky. שאם מספשת ומאיר למרוחו כל כך, כל שכן שיוכל להאיר במקום הממש. For if it can spread forth and shine to such a great distance, then certainly it can shed light in its own place. However, רק ששום במקום הממש, נחשב הזיו הזה לעין ואפס ממש. However, there is there in its own place, this radiance is considered not and completely nothingness. כי בוטל ממש במציאות לגבי גוף כדור השמש, שהוא מקור האור והזיו הזה. For it is absolutely non-existent in relation to the body of the sun globe, which is the source of this light and radiance. שהזיו והאור הזה אינו רק האור המאיר המגוף ועצם כדור השמש. Inasmuch as this radiance and light is merely the illumination which shines forth from the body of the sun globe itself. The only thing here, in this world where the light is separated from the sun, here the sunlight seems and appears like a separate entity, like an existence. רק בחלל או אילם תחת כל השמיים ועל כל הארץ שאין כאן גוף כדור השמש במציאוס, נראה כאן האור והזיו הזה ליש ממש לאין כהן. It is only in the space of the universe, under the heavens and on the earth, where the body of the sun globe is not present, and all that is seen is but an illumination that emanates from it. So here, that this light and radiance appears to the eye of the beholders to have an actual existence. V'noifel olav kan shem yesh be'emes. And here the term existence, yesh, can truly be applied to it. מה שאין כן כשהוא במקור בגוף השמש, אין נופל עליו שם יש כלל. Like Shem, Ayin, Ve'efes. Whereas when it is in its source, the sunlight is in the sun itself, in the body of the sun, the term existence cannot be applied to it at all. It can only be called not a non-existence. Because there it is indeed not an absolutely non-existence. Why? Because there, only its source, the luminous body of the sun, gives light, and there is nothing besides it. There's no light of the sun, there is the sun itself. So to sum up, although the sun's rays are surely found within the body of the sun, they cannot be said to exist there. They are found there in a manner of non-existence, in a state in which they're separate in identity is utterly nullified. That which can be deemed to exist within the sun globe can be nothing other than the sun itself. So tomorrow the Alter Rebbe is going to further analyze this metaphor of the sun, and obviously what we take from here is again the idea that if we understand that, and it is something that we need to constantly think about it, the fact that we have to take it to heart. That's what the Torah says to us, take it to heart, that Hashem is everything. And the more you take it to heart, the more you understand that nothing can go against Hashem's will. In other words, yes, Hashem gives us free choice to do whatever we choose to do, but everything what we do, everything what the challenges that come in our way cannot be an interference in our service of Hashem. Because if Hashem created us right now, He created the challenge right now, and He's the one that gives us the Torah. He's the one that has the whole plan. It's all part of Hashem's plan. So taking this to consideration gives us a better understanding in how ultimately to get to serve Hashem with love of Hashem and fear of Hashem. And with Hashem, we'll continue tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.